or a spectrum and be done in 60 minutes or so. So welcome. Thanks for making the time this morning to be with us today. This is about webinar number 5 or 6 that we've done. We're trying to do about 14 of these. We're trying to do them predominantly in English because 90% of the registrants, we've been told, for the convention are have indicated English as their primary language, but we are also going to be doing them in each of the other Rotary languages later in May. So, you know, between Craig and Linda and I, we're each working on those languages, trying to figure out how we're going to facilitate these discussions, 8 different languages. Might have to bring in some help to do that. I'm joined this morning by my colleague, Linda Morris. Linda kind of runs the show behind the scenes. If you have a question about what's going to be happening in Calgary and you send an email to info@rotarycalgary2025.org, Linda gets that email and Linda will answer that question, or she'll give it to somebody else who she'd like to get to answer it for us. So thanks for joining us. What we're going to do this morning is I'm going to walk you through a slide deck. I'm going to try to keep it to 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and then we'll leave time for questions and answers, and we'll go that way. You can ask questions in the chat. You can use the Q&A function. The Q&A function will go only to Linda. She's the only person that sees those. So if you have, I would encourage people to use the chat, then we all get to see what the questions are. Or you can raise your hand or do whatever you like to do when we get to that piece of it. So we are, I didn't update the slide this morning. We are 44 days away from the convention in Calgary, which is mind-blowing to us. Linda and I, Linda, you've been working on this for about a year now, haven't you? Yeah, I haven't been. I came on a little bit later. But it's, as we are saying amongst our circle here at the HOC, it's starting to get real in terms of the convention in Calgary and all the details that we're working out. So I'm going to point out a couple of things this morning as we go through the slide deck on how you can stay informed on what we're doing in addition to these webinars. We hope you take advantage of that. So we were hoping to have either Mark or Craig here this morning. They have been extremely diligent about being able to be on these calls with us. 2 extremely busy guys. And, you know, we like to joke around with Craig when I was booking some of these. We're going to be doing the ones for Asia at 5 o'clock in the morning come early June. And of course, when I sent the email out going, okay, these are the times that I've picked, Craig happily volunteered and said, well, I'll just be getting home. As long as the bar I'm at, I'll be able to join you. And I said, okay, well, that's perfect. So he must have got home already from whatever bar he was at last night and is probably having a snooze. So he's not able to join us today. And Mark is off in Greece. Mark is actually getting a well-deserved vacation for a few days. So he took off for Greece on Monday, and so you get Linda and I this morning. So just to give you a sense of the investment of time the HOC is putting into this convention, I have a question for you. If you were to take a guess at how many months Mark and Craig have been involved in putting together a bid, putting together a committee, organizing the stuff we're going to share with you, what would you guess is the number of months you think they've been involved?
I would say 60.
60, so 5 years, okay?
Yes.
That's a reasonable guess. Not the guess I'm looking for, but it's reasonable.
I was going to say 36 months.
And you might want to go the other way.
More than, okay.
Yeah.
4 years, 4 to 5 years.
45 years.
4 to 5 years.
Oh, I thought, because, you know, Craig would have started when he was 3. So these guys have been working on this for 10 years. Craig in particular has been working on this initiative for that long. Mark is somewhere in that 8-9 year range. But and of course, COVID threw a bit of a wrench into the process. But from the time that they started, so these 2 guys worked on the bid to see if Calgary could host the convention, and then of course they were asked to lead, co-chair the HOC. So that's the amount of time that they've invested. So maybe I'm not surprised at all that Craig is at the bar every night till 5 in the morning, um, getting some stress off. But they've done an amazing job, and are very proud of Calgary. Both of them, I believe both of them are original Calgarians. Very excited to be showing off their city. Mark is past district governor for District 5360, and he did that about 15 years ago or so. So a young guy when he was the district governor. So very excited to have them as our co-chairs. And unfortunately, they can't join us today, but I'm sure when you see them on the Stampede grounds at the end of June and offer to buy them a beer, they will take you up on that. So what we're going to do this morning is I'm going to walk you through kind of three main titles. We're going to talk about You Are Already Here. It's kind of our theme for Calgary. We're going to spend most of our time looking at the website. I want to give you a quick tour of the website. We redesigned our website about 6 weeks ago. And what we did is we took a bit of a different focus and built the website around building your experience in Calgary. So you start on the left side of the menu system and you move to the right. And we try to cover off all the important aspects of what your experience in Calgary can look like and point you in the direction you need to go in order to build that experience for yourself. And then Let's Make Magic All Around is about giving you some additional material that you can reference should you need it or pass on to fellow Rotarians. And as well, we'll spend some time talking about any questions that you have after we get through all of this. So for our American friends, and in fact, almost everybody, we're trying to make things a little bit easier on the pocketbook. Of course, when you register for the RI convention, you're paying for your registration fees, and all of the events that we're going to talk about today in terms of signature events are done in US currency. And really, RI does that year to year just so that there's a consistency from location to location to location. But for our American friends, you're gonna get a discount when you come here, about a 40% discount when you come and visit us in Calgary. So all of your accommodations, your meals, and your non-Rotary activities are going to be in Canadian dollars, which today is trading about 1.4 to 1.43. So you'll get about a 40% discount. Yeah, Scotland, you're going to be doing okay as well when you come over here. And Marion, I think you're going to do okay when you come over here from the Netherlands as well. So, our dollar's at a discount these days. And even for Canadians that would have been on the call this morning, travel accommodations and meals are all at par. So, we're used to going and traveling the world and paying a bit of a premium where we go. This time we get to have a convention where everything's at par other than the registration and the signature event fee. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you'll spend a little bit more money when you come over here. I know the businesses in Calgary are excited to have 15,000 people from around the world visiting them. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit about some pre and post tours that you can take advantage of as well. So I'm going to spend a moment just talking about Calgary itself. Has anybody on the call happened to have been to Calgary at some point, sometime in the past? Well, you're in for an amazing experience. I actually don't live in Calgary. I live an hour or so north. Linda lives in Calgary. I lived there about 25 years ago. City's changed a lot since I left, but it's a young city, thriving city, growing city right now, going through an amazing transformation. But the history of Calgary is that it's always been transforming even over the last 100 years or so. And Calgary is a Rotary city. When you come here, you're going to meet some amazing Rotarians who are very proud of their city and very proud of the work that they've done in the city. You're going to see some of the investments that Rotarians have made over the years. Rotary Challenger Park is an exclusive space kind of in the northeast corner of the city up by the airport. Actually, when you fly in, you can probably look down and see Rotary Challenger Park. Linda, I think we should have a conversation about getting some big signage on the roof. So when people fly in, maybe not in time for the convention, although that'd be great, but just in general, it'd be great branding to show the type of investment Rotary's made in Calgary. And then, of course, there's the Rotary Mattamy Greenway, which is a 138-kilometer network encircling the city, and it's the largest urban pathway in the world. And so Calgarians are very individuals. We talked about skiing and golfing. There's running. There's almost anything you can think of happens in the city. People like to enjoy the outdoors and the fresh air, even though it's a city of 1.5 million people. And so the Greenway is one of the ways in which people do that. So really how we feel welcoming you to District 5360 is we feel that when you get off the plane, you're already feel like you're already here. It's a very welcoming city, very friendly city. So one of the things that you're also going to find is Calgary has got this reputation for being a very Western municipality. And so, you know, the reputation of Calgary has been built on cowboys, our indigenous population, and the Wild West. But, you know, it's transforming. And as I mentioned earlier, it's a young city in Canada's context, and it's the word I'm looking for. Not transpired. Linda, help me out. Transforming into a very, thank you. Marion even knew what word I needed to use there. Transforming into a very contemporary city. And so you're going to find that we're going to celebrate a lot of the history of the city while you're in Calgary, but you're going to have the opportunity to experience some of the very contemporary parts of the city as well. Studio Bell is an amazing facility that celebrates Canadian music, which is a couple of blocks away from the convention campus. And even on the convention campus, one of the huge attractions to coming to Calgary is that they've invested millions of dollars in the facility that we're going to be at for 4 days, just to give you a sense of how the city is making investments in infrastructure. So we are going to work as hard as we can to ensure you feel like you're a Calgarian when you're in the city. And that is just really what the culture of Calgary is. Anybody that's visited the city will tell you that it's extremely friendly. People are very welcoming. When you walk down the street, they'll say hi to you. And they'll, in some cases, thank you for coming to visit them. So a couple of highlights around Calgary itself. It has been named as one of North America's top sustainable travel destinations. So for those of you familiar with energy, Alberta is an energy capital in Canada and an energy capital in North America, traditionally oil and gas. But Alberta spent the last 10 years transforming itself into being an energy capital beyond traditional oil and gas. A lot of clean energy. You'll find that what we've done over the last couple of years is actually eliminated coal as one of the energy sources that we rely upon in Alberta. Now we use, there's a lot of solar activity happening in our province, a lot of wind activity happening in our province. In fact, Alberta is not only the largest oil and gas producer in Canada, but it's also one of the largest, I think it actually might be the largest wind energy producers in Canada as well. So depending on what parts of the province you go to, you'll see a lot of windmills up, creating energy. In fact, the C-Train system, which you are going to ride for free while you're in the city, the C-Train system is our above ground light rapid transit system, is 100% wind, runs on 100% wind generated electricity. So we're transforming our energy economy in Alberta as well to be a mixture of traditional and new types of technology. Calgary is also a very diverse community. It's been growing a lot. It goes through spurts of growth, and it's going through a big spurt of growth right now. But what you're going to find is that it's the third most diverse city in Canada, with 240 ethnic origins reflected in the tapestry of what happens in the city. So at any given time, you can find intriguing cultural events that you can visit, particularly during the summer. There's a lot of outdoor activities that people go to. Everybody that comes to the city is very proud of their ethnicity and likes to show it. And you'll find Calgary is one of the world's friendliest cities. In fact, in 2023, it was voted the friendliest city in the world by Condé Nast Traveler magazine. And so that's the reputation that it has, and you're going to be able to partake in that while you're here. It's very safe and clean. It's a city of 1.5 million people. Calgary is known for its low crime rate, and it's a welcoming spot for travelers. In a moment, I'm going to talk about why. For those, we get a lot of questions around what should I pack? What should I wear? So in June, when you're here, you're going to be arriving on the summer solstice, which means that the sun will go down at 10 o'clock or 10:30 on Saturday, the 21st. So very long days. In fact, Calgary is going through a rebranding exercise as the blue sky city And that's because it gets the most sunshine in, I know it's Canada, I want to say North America. So it's the city that gets the most sunshine in North America, about 300 and some days of sunshine. So one of the things that we like to do as Canadians is we like to complain about the weather. Every time we get on a call with people, the first question is, what's the weather like? You heard that this morning. Linda's telling you it's very sunny. I'm hoping it's going to snow. But that's what we talk about in Canada. And Calgary gets an amazing amount of sun, whether it's 30 below in the winter or 30 above in the summer. It's always very sunny. You can expect it to be about 20 degrees Celsius when you're here. For our American friends, about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit warmer, could be a little bit cooler. Pack a light jacket for the evenings because it does cool off in the evenings, and pack a light jacket just in case it rains. Because typically what happens is if it's been a nice warm day, the wind blows the clouds over the mountains to the west, and they usually bring a little precipitation, and that's what cools the city down for the day. And then you start again the next morning. And of course, I mentioned how the currency is working in your favor. The other thing that works in your favor is that Alberta is the only jurisdiction in Canada with no provincial sales tax. So the only sales tax that you'll be subject to when you're shopping is our national 5% GST, or our goods and sales tax. So bring your wallets, bring your credit cards, spend wisely. There'll be lots of opportunities for you to invest in Calgary. So the great thing about Calgary, though, is it's a base camp for adventure. It is kind of the entry point to the Rocky Mountains. Now, I'll ask my next question. How many of you have visited the Rocky Mountains? If you haven't been to Calgary, there's a chance you have, but nobody's been to the Rocky Mountains either. So this is probably a bucket list trip for a number of you in terms of coming and checking things out. And Calgary is an amazing spot to do that. Calgary is it is the Western Canadian hub for both of our national airlines, Air Canada and WestJet. And that's because the Rocky Mountains are an hour away from the city directly west. You get into Canmore, Banff, Lake Louise is about an hour and a half. If you want to go a little bit further up and north in like the Parkway, it's not the Jasper Parkway. I can't remember the name of the Parkway. But you can go up to Jasper. And so there's just a lot of amazing outdoor stuff to do when you get into the mountains, some amazing hikes that you can participate in. Ken, you might want to find a golf course or two out there that you can go play. Your son won't be with you, so you don't have to worry about him beating you at golf. So you can just go out and have a good time. I'll go golfing with you. My favorite course in Alberta is in Kananaskis. It's an amazing course. My home course is really nice, but Kananaskis kind of tops it. And I have played St. Andrews. I'm not sure. Kananaskis is pretty good. I don't know which one I'd pick St. Andrews for the history, but Kananaskis has some amazing views. So, but not only to the Rockies, you can go south into Waterton Park, which is about 3 hours south of the city. And of course, the Rotary Peace Park is in Waterton on the American border. And so Waterton's a pretty cool place where you can get on a boat in Canada and do a boat ride into the US and then turn around and come back. And they don't make you present documents when you go there because you don't land anywhere. So, and Waterton also has I think they have a peace pole there, don't they, Linda?
Yes.
Yes, they do. So you can go down into Waterton. You can go east to Drumheller. And if you like prehistoric animals like dinosaurs, you can go check out Drumheller, which is one of the largest excavation sites in Alberta for prehistoric animals. And then where I am, north, you can head north and check out central Alberta, or what we call the parkland up here, which is very rich in farming and agriculture and things along that line. So lots to do. Calgary itself is a very diverse community. I'm not sure if some of you are planning to stick around for the Calgary Stampede, which is what Calgary is known for, but the Calgary Stampede starts about 9 days after the end of the convention. So it's a great base camp for adventure. You could literally come and spend your summer in Calgary and find something to do every day within an hour or two of the city. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try clicking and see what happens here. I'm going to guess that you can't see my version of the website yet. You're still seeing the slide deck. Okay, so I'm going to unshare this presentation and I'm going to reshare it on the website. But before I go there, maybe I'll ask if there's any questions right now as I do this transition.
There was a question about renting bikes on the Greenway path. I don't believe there's a bike shop right on the path, but the path circles the city and there's spokes going into the city. Many paths. There's hundreds and hundreds of kilometers of paths. So there's a lot of bike shops right downtown that are, you know, blocks away from the path. One of the spokes that goes out to the path. So there's lots of places to rent bikes for sure.
Cool. Thanks for that, Linda. All right, now can you see the website? Very good. So what I'm going to do is I want to walk you through a few highlights, and we'll leave this for you to kind of explore on your own, but there's a few things that we'd like to touch with you. So of course, we're 44 days.
That's the we're looking at, is it? That's
44 days and counting in terms of when the convention starts on the 21st. So the first thing I'd like to highlight for you is when you get off the call, come to the homepage and register for our newsletter. So we don't actually have contact information for any of you. We worked with RI to get a mailing list that we could send one email to. And some of you or all of you hopefully received that email sometime in the last 3 weeks or so. Now, in order to stay up to date with what's going on with the HOC, we need you to come over here and register for our newsletter. Probably going to get the first one out here by the end of the week or early part of next week. But the other thing you can do is if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, the links for each of those social media channels are here, and you can come and follow us on those 3 channels. We're posting information almost daily. So there's a lot of information that we have to share about exciting things that are coming. So make sure that you sign up for this. Of course, you can register for another one of our webinars if you like on this page. And I'm gonna come back to another section in a few moments. I'm assuming all of you have registered for the convention. If you have friends that haven't registered for the convention and you walk away from this going, boy, you need to come to Calgary, you can send them to this website, rotarycalgary2025.org, and they can go to You're Invited. And in the You're Invited section is where they will get linked to RI's website and they can register for the convention. So this is the first thing anybody has to do when they're coming to a convention is you got to register. So that's step 1. The part I want to spend a lot more time on today is you know, what's known as the signature events. How many of you have been to convention before? Okay, terrific. So we have signature events planned for every night of the convention. And we've had these signature events planned for the last year. So when we opened our website in Singapore almost a year ago to accept registrations for the convention, we had all of these signature events up and posted. In fact, this is why Mark and Craig have been working at this for 10 years. They're the first HOC to have all their signature events up and ready to book the day that convention registrations open. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking about these because these are all events you're not going to want to miss. So Saturday, June 21st is the Amazing Grandstand Spectacular. Sunday, you have a choice of 2 events, rock or symphony, experience some Canadian music. On Monday evening is a tradition that started at the Calgary 1996 convention called Host Hospitality. And it's so popular that it's already sold out. We've got over 2,000 people registered to go have dinner with Rotarians in Calgary that evening. And so if you're one of the people registered, we're looking forward to hosting you either in somebody's home, or there are a number of events that clubs from outside the city are hosting around the city. But unfortunately, that event is already sold out. And then Tuesday night is kind of our wind-up event, which is celebrating Western culture. And we'll talk about that in a moment. And then, of course, how many of you have your cowboy hats or have a cowboy hat? Yeah, you're going to need a cowboy hat. It's going to be very important that you have a cowboy hat when you come here. So we're going to show you how to get one. So in terms of the Grandstand Spectacular, this event is going to be held on at the grandstand on Stampede Park. So Stampede Park is the site where the Calgary Stampede is held for 10 days every year, and we're calling it the convention campus. Everything about the convention will be held on the convention campus other than one or two signature events. So you'll find all of the programming from RI is going to be held either in the Calgary Saddle Dome, and this is one of the last major events that will happen in the Calgary Saddle Dome, which was built for the 1988 Olympics. It's being replaced by a new stadium just being built north, I think, of the current Saddle Dome. So Rotary is going to kind of close out the history of the Saddle Dome, and then we're going to be using a brand new facility called the BMO Center. That is a multi-million-dollar convention space that Rotary is actually one of the first major conventions to be in the new BMO Center. So very excited about all of that.
Darcy,
Yep.
could I point out on chat, there's a question about dress attire and more details about white hats. So I thought it might be a good time to speak to how people get one. And I heard a question last night about why are we giving shipping address? Does it come directly to us or do we pick it up there? So it might be a good time to speak to this dress attire and white hat.
Very good. Thanks, Thelma. That'll be the last thing I close with when we talk about signature events. So thanks for the reminder on that. So for the grandstand, this is Saturday evening. It's going to start at about 8 o'clock. I mentioned that Saturday is also going to be the longest day of the year. So that's why this program starts late in the evening. We had to start it later because as we talk about celebrating Western culture during the grandstand extravaganza, we're also going to have a drone presentation to close out the event and fireworks. So we will be encouraging Rotarians to book their travel around that start time. So you want to arrive in Calgary sometime the afternoon of Saturday the 21st. Get checked into your hotel, grab a bite to eat, and make your way down to the convention campus and partake in what we're calling the unofficial welcoming event to Calgary 2025. You can come here and buy your tickets. Linda is one of the key people helping get tickets taken care of. All of the tickets that you buy on this site will be sent to you via email and will be given to you electronically. So there'll be no paper tickets for you. If you need paper, you'll be able to pick that up in the House of Friendship at our booth when you get here. But we're trying to do everything as electronically as possible. The other thing that we're doing at this event, and this taps into the white hats, Velma, is that one of the things Calgary is very proud of is their white hat ceremony. And so the white hat ceremony is the way that Calgarians make visitors to the city unofficial residents for the time that they're there. So Pope John Paul has been white hatted. Queen Elizabeth II was white hatted. Several prime ministers and American presidents have been white hatted. And so Rotarians coming to Calgary are going to be white hatted. In fact, we believe that this is going to be the largest white hat ceremony that Calgary's ever seen. I was chatting with Calgary Tourism yesterday to ask them if they could tell me what the largest one has been. They can't. And we're starting to have a conversation about maybe trying to do a Guinness World Record for white hat ceremonies. And so we're going to be doing this at the Grandstand Spectacular on Saturday evening. So you're going to want to be there. Moving on to Sunday, you have a choice between rock and a choice between the symphony and celebrating different kinds of music genres from Canada. So Rockin' the Big Four Roadhouse is a Rock the Nation event, which is going to celebrate 70 years of Canadian music going back into the 1950s. So it's a great opportunity to come and see American Canadian music and Canadian performers and get a sense of the history of contemporary music in the country. And then the other choice that you have that evening is an event at the Southern Alberta. Oh, sorry. What's the name of the facility, Linda?
Jubilee.
The Southern Alberta Jubilee, which is put on by the Calgary Civic Symphony. And it is a musical presentation on Canada's Indigenous history. And so it's going to touch on some of the more controversial elements of our Indigenous history, including topics such as residential schools. But we have, and I think a few people have experienced this, and I tell you, it's a very moving presentation. So if you have the opportunity, pick one of the two of them. Unfortunately, you can't do both of them. And this is what your Sunday evening can look like. Monday.
Darcy, could I ask you a question about the Rock of the Nation?
Yes.
I booked about 10 days ago. I booked tickets, but I haven't had it. I got an invoice acknowledging I paid for it, but when it said about downloading the tickets, nothing came up, and I haven't had any email confirmation or anything. Should I get something like that?
Linda.
Ken, I bet you booked 2 tickets, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a glitch in the system, so we're just about to open a customer portal, so you'll be able to go in yourself, see your tickets and download them. But regardless, if we see that people aren't going in to get their tickets before you get here, we're going to make sure everybody has their tickets. Not to worry.
That's great. Thank you.
Great question. Thanks, Ken. So that's what Sunday looks like. Monday is host hospitality night for those of you that have been able to register for host hospitality. And then Tuesday night is going to be the Western Ranch Showcase. It's kind of our wrap-up event. It gives you an opportunity to get together in a rather what's the word I want to use? Cozy environment with 2,000 of your Rotary friends to see some of the activities that happen from a country and Western point of view. I'm going to guess there might be a little bit of dancing somewhere along the way. You'll experience some good old country music, and there'll be some amazing food. So this event will be on Tuesday night to wrap up. And then coming back to Velma's comment, cowboy hats. So you're going to want to have your cowboy hat for Sunday night, for Saturday night at the Grandstand Extravaganza. You can come to this website and order your cowboy hat. We're not going to ship the hat to you. The way that our system is set up, it asks for a shipping address. So we ask you to put in your address, but it's not coming there. What you'll get is you'll get a voucher. And when you arrive and register, you'll go to a desk and pick up your cowboy hat. And don't worry about the sizing. If you don't get it exactly right, there will be extra hats there. And so we'll make sure that you have the right size hat when you come to Calgary. So this is really your official souvenir for the Calgary Convention that you can take home with you. So we expect that every plane flying out of Calgary is going to have hundreds of people with white hats. We might have to ask them to. So I guess here's the bad thing about that. If you're a traveler like me who doesn't like to check their luggage, you may have to check your luggage on the flight home because the bins across the top are going to be full of cowboy hats. So I'm going to move on from there. So that's all of the stuff that you get to do in the evenings after the official Rotary program is completed for the day. I want to draw your attention, though, to pre and post tours. So, of course, lots to see, as we talked about earlier. When you come to the pre and post tour website, you'll get a chance to check out this welcoming page, watch a couple of videos, and then you click the link to view and book tours, and this will give you a sense of the wide variety of tours that are available. So we've partnered with an organization called Anderson Travel. You can see on their menuing system that there are Indigenous tours. If you would like to learn about Canada's Indigenous history, there's 3 tours that you can participate in. There are Rotary Vocational Fellowship tours that Rotary clubs have helped to organize and put together that will be happening in other parts of the province outside of the city. So you can go south to Lethbridge, north, east and west, more east than west. West is going to be covered in a moment. So there's a number of vocational tours that have been put together. If you're traveling together as partners and one of you is going to the convention and the other one's coming to enjoy Calgary, there are some afternoon tours that you can participate in. You can go see how we make those white hats at the Smith-built cowboy hat production facility. You can tour 17th Avenue, which is what they call in what they call in Calgary the Red Mile. So anytime the Calgary Flames are in the playoffs, which is like once every 30 or 40 years, Linda, the Red Mile is The Red Mile is a hot spot to go to because it leads directly into the Stampede grounds. And then, of course, any of the tours outside, the multi-day tours into the Rocky Mountains and other parts of Alberta can be found on this site as well. Some of these tours are selling out. So we have been chatting with the travel agents, and they are trying to add tour inventory on because some of these tours are so popular. So keep checking in. And if something that you want isn't there and you're traveling with a few people, they'll put together a tour for you. So don't miss the opportunity to check out some of the amazing stuff that is around Calgary. So I'll leave this site for you to explore, and you can check out all of the different things that you can do before and after you arrive in Calgary. Now, if you haven't booked your flight, but you're planning to check out things, one of the things that you may want to consider is that the G7 is going to be in Calgary the week before the convention. So Canada, the US, the UK, now I'm got to figure out which 7 leaders are going to be here. Italy, France, that's 5, and 2 others are going to be here with their delegations, and we're expecting about 6,000 people are going to be descending on Calgary for the G7 and leaving by the 19th. So if you're trying to do tours in the city, might want to consider doing them at the end of your time in Calgary, kind of as the convention closes out. Maybe you want to stretch those tours into a stay for the Calgary Stampede, which is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for people. However, you know, if you want to get out of the city for the few days before and go into the Rocky Mountains and do your tours before the convention, that will absolutely work as well. So lots of stuff happening in Calgary in the month of June and the early part of July, and tours are a great way to see what happens outside of the city. A couple of other things I'm going to touch on. The necessities section talks about airline discounts. So if you haven't booked your flights yet, there's 2 national airlines in the country, WestJet Airlines and Air Canada. And of course, Air Canada is tied into the Star Alliance network. So for our American friends, United is part of Star Alliance. I'm trying to think about if there's anybody out of the UK that's Star Alliance. I can't remember.
Lufthansa.
Lufthansa out of Europe would be. WestJet is affiliated, I believe, with BA in terms of the One World network. So each one is in one of the networks, and each of those airlines are offering discounts. So there is likely a way, if you're not in Canada, that you can tap into those discounts by visiting their websites and trying to book your travel on their websites using the discount codes that are here. So I'll leave all of that there for you. Of course, there's 40 or so, 45, I think, direct destinations that fly into Calgary from around the world. So London, for example, I believe Glasgow flies directly into Calgary with WestJet. And then a number of points on the European continent fly directly into Calgary. And then there's probably 25 cities or so in the US that have direct flights into Calgary as well. So when you go to flying to Calgary, it'll give you a map and it'll give you a list of all of the cities that have direct flights in. The other one I want to draw your attention to for a moment is, where do I put my head down? We get a lot of feedback around accommodation. And so you can come to this site or this page, and it will give you all of the options for accommodation in the city. So there's, of course, the official Rotary block, which is getting pretty full. And those are the hotels that are downtown close to the campus, all walkable, all for the most part walkable to the campus. And of course, booking with the Rotary housing block has some benefits to it, which you can see on the site. But there are more than 30,000 hotel rooms in Calgary. So everybody's going to have a place to stay. So if you can't find anything in the Rotary housing block, you can go to this Beyond the Block section. We'll open up all of the other inventory in the city, and you can take a look at what's happening there. These hotels could be downtown close, some are up by the airport, some are in the surrounding communities. But the one thing that you'll be able to take advantage of is that your name tag for the convention will get you onto all of the public transit in the city for free. So you don't have to worry about paying for public transit when you're moving around the city. Your name badge will get you on public transit. And so you can get around the city quite easily. And public transit is great if you happen to be renting a car and staying outside of the downtown core. We might encourage you to drive to a C train station, park your car for the day, get on the public transit. There's 2 stations at Stampede Grounds. You can get off at either station and walk into the Stampede Grounds. So make sure you take advantage of that. If you want some super discounted accommodation, because, you know, really, how much time are you going to spend in your accommodation when you're at the convention? You can stay at one of the 2 university campuses, Mount Royal University and SAIT, which is the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology. They have offered up their residences for people to take advantage of. So if you want to stay at Mount Royal University, for example, you can stay in a room for $59 a night. It's a dorm style room. Come with some of your friends and you can get together in the living room there in the evening and have a nightcap, and then everybody goes off to their space. So there's some discount options for you. And then of course, Airbnb, VRBO, a lot of that exists right around the convention campus. And I guess, you know, Ken, you're not probably going to drive over and camp, but for anybody who wants to camp, there is some camping space available on the Stampede grounds itself. Not a lot of it, but there's some. But there's also multiple campgrounds around the city. So you can check out accommodation options under the necessities. And then the last thing I'm going to touch on is volunteering. It takes about 2,000 volunteers to make this convention happen. We have an amazing crew of volunteers from District 5360, both Rotarians and non-Rotarians that are going to be helping us out. But of course, we like to have Rotarians from around the world be part of the volunteer contingent. You could be working on the convention campus as a volunteer. We could have you at the airport, welcoming people to Calgary. We could have you on a C train platform, helping guide people around the city. You can be a Calgarian for 4 days by being a volunteer. And the best thing about the volunteer is if you work 2 volunteer shifts, you get your white hat. And that's our gift to the volunteers for everything that they're going to be doing. So if you have the opportunity, please take advantage of that. All you have to do is come here and register. The opportunities are coming out very soon because we're getting so close. So you'll be able to find out what the options are and be able to choose what you want to do. And then the last thing I'm going to draw your attention to on the website is the frequently asked questions. So at the very end, you can click on FAQs, and that will take you to the bottom of the homepage, and we are constantly updating the FAQs. So if you can't find anything in the main material, check out the FAQs. If you can't find anything there, send a message to info@rotarycalgary2025.org, and you'll get Linda, and then we'll get you an answer and probably put it on the FAQ section. So, that was a lot to go through. I'm going to stop and I am going to open it up for questions.
You have 2 questions already. Dress code for the convention and how long is a shift?
All right. So dress code is entirely up to you. We just ask that you wear something. And you know, kind of business casual will be fine. I think there will be people in shorts. There will be a lot of people wearing Rotary garb. There'll be a lot of white hats around the convention during the entire 4 days. You'll probably see people like Linda and I in our white hats the whole time. But one of the things, for those of you that have been to the Rotary Convention before, what you're going to find, particularly from our African friends in Rotary, is there's some very colorful costumes they like to wear when they come to the convention, particularly during the opening and closing.
Yes.
And so, you know, casual is the way that we would describe what you can wear. Comfortable is what we would describe. And, you know, there's not a lot of hoity-toity dress that you're going to need when you're at the convention. Hope that helps. What to wear to the host dinner events? Yeah, I would say the same rule applies. If you're, you know, probably something casual if you're going to somebody's home. If you're going to an event around the city, you can probably dress down even more. Given the time of year, you're going to see a lot of people from Alberta will probably be wearing shorts and a casual shirt, a golf shirt, or maybe a buttoned up shirt, kind of a little bit of summer casual. But yeah, what's most important is you dress comfortably when you're here.
Yeah, and I think for the host hospitality event, once you find out where you're going, some of you will be going to ranches for barbecue, some will be going to golf clubs, some will be going to homes. So just dress accordingly. I mean, there's really, I can't think of any events except for maybe an RI special donors event or something where you would need a suit and tie.
Yeah. Linda, you're asking about your husband coming to the signature events. Can he get into the Expo Center? So he can get into all of the signature events. You don't have to be registered to attend.
She's still colored in.
But to get into the BMO Center or the opening ceremonies or any of those things, you'll need to have a convention registration. The only exception for that is that the House of Friendship is operating every day in the BMO Center as part of the convention. There is on Saturday, there's a one-day pass that non-registrants can purchase to get into the House of Friendship, which is, kind of the what's the term I'm looking for to describe the House of Friendship, Linda?
Well, it's just a group of booths with all kinds of information.
Kind of the convention trade show.
And
Yeah.
there'll be lots of entertainment and places to eat in there as well.
Yep.
Not to be missed.
Exactly. Hope that helps, Linda.
Where do we get our badges for the convention, and can someone pick yours up for you?
You get that one.
There will be a registration hall in the BMO Center where you pick up your badges. I do not think someone else can pick up your badge for you, but I'm not certain. I can find that out.
How long is a shift? Each shift is 4 hours. So if you give us 8, you get a cowboy hat. And you get a whole bunch of other stuff. They've actually got really neat vests that are going to be in Rotary, a version of Rotary blue. So you won't be hard to miss. Sorry, you won't be easy to miss as a volunteer at the convention, and you can use all of that as your souvenir for the convention as well. Best way to get from the airport to the hotel. Of course, you can take a cab or an Uber, depending, I guess, where you are in the city. There isn't light rapid transit directly from the airport. You could take an Uber or a cab to the LRT and get on from there. Probably your best bet is an Uber or a cab to get to your hotel. And then once you get to your hotel, you can go over to the convention site and get your name badge, and then you have access to the light rapid transit system for the rest of your time in Calgary. Now, I'm going to share something that I heard somebody above me share that we're not supposed to share, so I'm going to share it anyway, so you're kind of on the inside track here, is that we've been led to believe, the rumor has it, that the LRT police are going to be rather relaxed in patrolling LRT stations while the convention is happening. So if you happen to get on a train and you happen to forget to pay, you probably aren't going to get into trouble if you don't have your pass yet. Now, if you say you heard it from Darcy, I'm just going to say Linda told me. So but so there's many ways that you can move around. Calgary it's a very easy city to get around. The other thing that I forgot to touch on, which is something that we're telling everybody that comes to these webinars, is that we haven't posted yet, but we will post probably in the next week or so, that on Sunday, between the opening ceremonies, so there's 2 opening ceremonies, a morning and an afternoon. In between the opening ceremonies, the HOC is hosting all 15,000 Rotarians at a Calgary Stampede breakfast. So when you come to Stampede for 10 days, the Stampede, we heard this last night, the Stampede typically hosts about 250 Stampede breakfasts across the city. So big corporations, small organizations, Rotary clubs host Stampede breakfasts during the course of Stampede, which is basically pancakes and sausages. And they hold it out in an open parking lot, and thousands of people come to these. And it's just one of the many ways that Calgary shows its hospitality. The HOC is going to host a traditional Stampede breakfast, which is being called Pancakes for Polio. So you will have an opportunity to make a contribution to polio instead of paying for your pancakes and sausages, which the HOC and the Calgary Stampede are going to host all Rotarians for. So if you're in the morning opening ceremonies, you're going to come out and you're going to get a waft of pancake and sausage smell in the air, and you're going to go right over there to get your breakfast. And if you are in the afternoon ceremony, you can come early, get your pancake breakfast, and then head into the ceremony. So we're very much looking forward to hosting all of you for that. Bring your credit cards. You'll be able to tap and donate to polio, and help with that effort as well.
But it's not necessary.
Yeah, sorry, not necessary. But this is the pancake breakfast is really our way of thanking you for coming to Calgary and being part of the convention. Can my husband volunteer? Yes, he can. Great idea. Go to that website and get him registered. I'm just looking at the chat here. I don't see. Did everybody get their questions answered so far? Doug, pre-convention Rotary event, building a better world. Okay, so you're bringing everybody's attention to that. Okay,
May I ask a question about that?
you sure may.
Great. Thank you very much. It's a really informative website. Really appreciate your doing this. I was just wondering how we could get these Rotary pre-convention events into your presentation so that people are aware that there are actually Rotary activities.
So Linda, I'm going to ask Linda a question here. Linda, do you know if RI has their site that lists everything up and running yet?
They do have it. There's, if you go to RI, and I think it's under programs, if each of those, we call them unaffiliated events, or yeah, UAE, unaffiliated events, and they were meant to register with RI, and RI has a spreadsheet of all of the various events. I believe it's under programs, and if you scroll down, it'll say unaffiliated events. You click on, you'll get a whole sheet. But there are like, the last count was between 70 and 100. We wouldn't have time nor,
No.
yeah. So that's how
Yeah.
RI deals with it. If by chance they didn't register with RI, you'll have to go to whatever website it is you're looking for.
So
Right.
what we may do though,
Thank you.
thank you for that. But what we may do is we may put a link on our website that takes people there, just so that this still is the site you can come to everything you need to know. And what we may do is we'll try to figure out if we can slide a reference to it into the slide deck for future presentations. So thanks for the reminder.
Great.
Yeah.
Carol, should I get Canadian money or will American money work? Well, yeah, American money will be great. Most businesses will be able to take it. You're going to want Canadian money just because it's more colorful. But yes, you can use either. And of course, you know, credit card technology works great. Every business is going to accept all of that. I think everything on campus is going to, I think the Stampede grounds is cashless. And so anything that you might want to buy on the Stampede grounds, you'll need a credit card or a piece of plastic for. The other thing that you're going to learn about very quickly is, see, this is why it's so important to come to these webinars, is that we are going to be offering a Rotary beer on campus and around the city. Actually, we're going to have this Rotary beer available for District 5360 until October. I'm not going to tell you the name of the beer. Craig spilled it yesterday, no pun intended. But I'm not going to share it today. I'm going to have you wait till we announce it on the website so that you come to the website and find out what the beer is. But you'll find that beer on the convention campus. You'll probably find that beer at your signature event, host hospitality event. you'll find that beer around the city. We're actually working with a number of the different restaurants and pubs to see if they would be prepared to offer it there. And what I will tell you is that the money, the funds raised will go to help do some investment in Calgary, and be kind of a legacy for Calgary. And so that's what the Rotary Beer is going to be about. And how will we be informed about which opening event we'll go to? Great question. Rotary will send you an email sometime probably in late May or early June telling you which opening ceremony you go to. So for those of you that haven't been to a convention before, you will find that Rotary is going to have an app that they're going to push out probably about the end of May that will have the entire schedule of speakers on it. And you are encouraged to go through that app and figure out where you want to go. You can't register for anything. You just have to show up. So if there's a topic that you want to be part of, make sure you get there, because as we saw in Singapore last year, some of those workshops are very popular, and they fill up, and then the fire marshal won't let anybody else in. So get there early, get there quick, and have a backup in case your session is full. But of course, and for those of you that haven't been to the convention before, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are kind of laid out the same. In the morning, there's a large plenary session that will be in the Saddle Dome, and it will be for all registrants. So all 15,000 people can be in the room listening to an array of different speakers. The afternoon is when the breakout sessions happen, and those will be in the BMO Center, which is just kind of across the road from the Stampede grounds. And then the evenings are when you go have fun. Protocols for tipping in restaurants. Yep. Servers in Calgary love to get tips. Kind of the number that's used in our part of the world is, between 10 on the low side and probably 20 on the high side. It really depends on how you felt the experience was and whether you feel they earned it or not. But
And
they are welcome.
And just know that Canada's a very plastic tappy kind of place. We tap for our coffee. Very, very few people use cash anymore. I know I was in the States earlier this year, and they've now got a tap, but they actually have you sign after you tap, which to me was the oddest thing I've ever seen. So plastic is for sure. And when you go to a restaurant, if you're a group, they will automatically add a tip. Because some people forget to tip, and that waitress has, served 20 people and ended up with nothing at the end of it. So quite often when you go to tap, there will be, the first thing that comes up is an option for a tip. And I don't think I've ever seen a 10% for quite a while now, Darcy. I think they start at 15 now, but yeah, it's quite normal to tip here.
All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat. I hope I didn't miss any. And we're at the top of the hour. So any other questions, either in the chat or anybody want to raise their hand? Kind of your last chance today. All right. So you have homework. Here's your homework. Go to RotaryCalgary2025.org. Soon as you get off this call, sign up for the newsletter so that you're up to date on everything we're doing. If you're on social media, go follow the social media channels. And then go buy your tickets to all of the signature events that you're going to come to, and make sure you have your white hat. You thought you were going to get away without having any homework, but we don't operate like that. And so get your homework done. If you don't have your hotels, get them booked. Get your flights booked now that you know you can get some discounts. And we're very much looking forward to seeing all of you in Calgary in 44 days. So if you're walking around and you see Linda or I, make sure you stop us and say hi. And we may buy you a beer or let you buy us one. But it'll be great to meet you all face to face and really have a great time at the convention. All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.